Hi, welcome to Jackson Bottom's Pollinator Week. We like to call it Pollinator Palooza. This week we want to share with you different things about pollinators, and I'm going to share with you what I've done in my yard to help pollinators thrive here. For many years I've volunteered with the Backyard Habitat Certification Program, and for a long time it wasn't possible to get a yard in my hometown certified, but now it is, and recently I got my yard certified. If you live in Hillsboro, soon you'll be able to do the same. I have lived in my home for a very long time, and as a result, I have had the opportunity to transform a lot of areas that were previously just kind of suburban grass and lawn, typical yard areas into something that is more suited to being a wildlife habitat. So this is my front yard. It used to be just straight up grass. Over the years, the grass got smaller and smaller until finally I got rid of it altogether. There are a lot of things in this area that are great for habitat and great for pollinators. Let me show you a couple. This water feature is one of the things that I wanted from the time I moved into my house, but it took me quite a long time to get it because it's not trivial to put in. But I have noticed all kinds of things from squirrels to birds to pollinators all enjoying this water source here in the middle of my front yard. Some areas in my yard are strictly native. Some are a mix of natives and more ornamental plants, and some areas are just ornamentals. This area is a great example of a combination. So I've got all kinds of different things, from the hops in the background to the flowering currant in the foreground, and they provide flowers at different times of year so that pollinators have food and then the nearby water fountain for water anytime they are active. This area is very nearly all native. Some of them have already flowered and have gone dormant, but others are still developing into patches that will hopefully spread over time. Although some people find it to be too aggressive, I'm really proud of this patch of oxalis. It's taken me quite a few years and recovery from my ill-fated attempt at having some assistance from a landscaper to get this patch looking as robust as it now does. And this is my backyard. You can see that it's pretty different, although this area right in front of us is very predominantly native plants, and that mock orange is super gorgeous and smells wonderful right now. There are a lot of different things that you must do if you're going to be part of the Backyard Habitat Program and have your yard certified. One of those things is that you have to have a certain percentage of your plants be natives. And that's why I'm content to be certified at the gold level, because I love things like my garden. I just this evening was able to come out and pick some rhubarb to make a delicious dessert for myself later. And I have these great garden beds, and I have raspberries and all kinds of other things. Almost all of this is plantings that I've done since I've lived here. This area is one of my native areas. Almost everything growing in this area is native, and it's taken me a long time to get things established, but now they seem to be doing pretty well. In fact, this year, several of the plants that I had planted over the last few years that I thought had died out are now look like they're thriving. The few things that was here when I moved into this house are these wonderful fruit trees. This plum tree right in front of me, it produces plums that are, I'm going to say, the most delicious I've ever had. So these sorts of things are things that I value, in addition to having the native plantings that are traditionally thought of as providing habitat. I was sitting on my back porch the other day, and I saw a pileated woodpecker come in and land in this plum tree. So even though these things aren't native, in my yard at least, they're providing some habitat for wild animals. I've chosen to make this back portion of my yard really intensive with native plants, although there are a few things in here that are not native. And this year I've been rewarded by a small brush rabbit that has moved into my backyard. I don't know where she came from, but she is a great delight to me when I see her out here. She's living somewhere back in this very dense shrubby area in the back of my yard. Although this trellis area and our old dog run don't have a lot of natives in this area, they do have a lot of plants that the animals seem to enjoy. I saw cedar waxwings in my serviceberry tree, and serviceberry is included on the native plant list, just the other morning. So this area is also great for wildlife. This may not look that attractive to you, but when I had to have a tree taken down because it was endangering my power line, I asked them to leave a tall snag. And I have definitely seen some sapsuckers traveling around this as the tree was dying. I'm excited to see if something will nest in here and excavate a cavity as this tree starts to decompose. One of the things that helps make your yard a welcoming spot for wildlife is having down lumber around your yard. When I had to take down a arborvitae hedge that a storm destroyed, I decided that rather than recycling the trunks, I was just going to spread them around the yard, and I've been rewarded with 2 different kinds of salamanders in my yard, as well as 2 different kinds of frogs. So that strategy seems to be working, and it also gives me some plus points for that backyard habitat certification. One of the things I didn't know before I started this process was that a lot of pollinators overwinter either in leaf duff or in other kinds of ground coverings, as well as in the standing stems of different kinds of plants. So that's one of the things that's been hardest for me, is moving away from being that super tidy yard. In fact, that was one of the problems that when I tried to use a landscaper at one point, is they wanted to rake everything, and raking is one of the things that can damage cocoons and other overwintering insects. So now I try to leave everything as much as I can on the ground and not cut back everything in the fall when the flowers and plants fade. I know I'm being successful because I'm starting to see more and more different kinds of pollinators in my yard. I see these kinds of fuzzy bumblebees, as well as lots of other kinds of pollinators. I have this small pond in my backyard as well, so that provides some water source for some of the critters that live out here, like my resident bunny, who I call Snip. It's also, when it's in the wintertime, provides some of the water that's necessary for things like my little patch of camas that is going to seed here. I've been really lucky with taking the seed heads off of these plants when they're dry and spreading them around the yard and getting additional little patches of camas. One of the things that I really enjoy is the opportunity to learn about taking care of plants and the opportunity to experiment with plants. These little shrubs right here are actually ones that I grew from prunings over at Jackson Bottom. They were just trimming the bushes back, and I thought, I wonder if I can make those little dogwoods grow. And I stuck them in some soil with some special conditioners, and now I have 5 little bushes that I have really grown from sticks. Well, thanks for touring my yard with me. I hope it gives you some ideas about ways that you can make your yard inviting to pollinators. I have lots of different kinds of things in my yard because that's what I enjoy. There's all kinds of different ways that you can welcome pollinators and other wildlife into your yard. I had so many different pollinators on my honeysuckle vine the other day. I really wanted to get a video, but they were too small and too fast. So I had to give up on that, but I was able to get this video. If you're interested in making your space more inviting for pollinators and other wildlife, then check out the Backyard Habitat website. They have a great program with people who can come out and consult with you about how to improve your yard and space, and then can help connect you with resources to make that happen. Thanks for watching.